zombie apocalypse hike. I expect the zombies to be out in force, but I'm going to make some changes. Like I said the last time, I was a lot more weighted down than I wanted to be, so I've got to figure out how to lighten up my, zombie apocalypse gear here. First of all, I thought it would be awesome to have some really great Converse boots with good traction, good rolling action. They're very sturdy. Thought they would hold up. They did, of course, but they were heavy. So instead, I'm going to try some hiking shoes. I've never had great success with keeping hiking shoes from just falling apart on me. Usually my heel ends up sticking out through the bottom. So I got this pair on a recommendation, and I'm going to see if that makes me a little lighter on my feet so I can move quicker. I wanted, when I was traveling the last time, I had my two favorite books on Arizona plants. One of them is The Plants of Arizona, and the other one is Herbal Medicine of the American Southwest. Well, and the reason I have those is so that because I want to be able to identify plants when I see them, and I want to actually accurately use them, especially if I'm making a video. I don't want to give you bad information about the uses of the plants or whatever. So, but even if I wasn't making a video, I still want to know what I'm doing. I definitely have to ditch the Plants of Arizona book, and I should ditch the Herbal Medicine book because it's extra weight that I don't need, and I was too heavy. So there goes that. What else? Okay, the belt pack. Got all kinds of cool stuff on it. How can I lighten this up? Well, I know I've got two guns. Here's the thing. I had redundancy basically on the belt pack and on the backpack. I have a lot of the same stuff, so that if the two packs got separated, I would still have all the essentials, right? Well, the problem with having two guns is weight. They're heavy. So here are my options. Okay, 357 Magnum or M4. Well, if I was really going to choose smart, neither. I'd actually pick a good deer hunting rifle with the scope in composite material, so it's light, bolt action, maybe a 30-30 or a 30-06, if this is what I have to work with. Which one do I ditch? The revolver or the M4? I'm going to ditch the revolver, and the reason is, even though it's a quick draw, if a mountain lion was lunging at me, I can pull it out and shoot fast, right? Whereas this is slung across my back, and it's going to be on me before I even know it. Still, it's a matter of accuracy. Sure, I can draw quick and shoot, but I'll miss. Okay? With a revolver, if you're just even a little hair off, you're going to miss. At least, if I've got time to carefully aim, I'm more likely to hit a target with this. So that stays, the revolver goes. Alright, now, redundancy. I have two of all the important things with me in each pack, or well, with me total. On the revolver holster, the folding knife right here that I can pull out. Okay, folding knife on the revolver holster, but there's also actually on the belt a fixed blade knife, which I chose this one actually to replace a folding saw, because some of you probably already know it's a lot easier to saw things than to chop them or cut them. Okay, so I picked the fixed blade knife as my backup knife because it has a two-edged or a two-bladed saw on it, actually. The problem with this saw is that if you try to saw anything any wider than about 2 inches, it's going to take you a couple hours. It's a real pain in the butt. But I also duplicated, because I want to have 2 knives anyway, in case something happens to one. It breaks, falls into a crack in the rock and I can't get it. I also had another folding knife on the backpack. Okay. So I need to get rid of a knife, because I've got 3 of them. I'm going to get rid of this one. It's not as good a knife. And keep the fixed blade. I keep the fixed blade, but I'm going to move it off the belt pack and put it on the backpack so that my backup knife is separated from the belt pack. And also, because the majority of the weight that I was feeling was really coming down around my hips, I expected it to be back and shoulders because the backpack, but the backpacks they make now actually have the strap across there, and they got the belt strap, and they have the back strap. So really what was happening is my waist is carrying almost all the weight. It's got the belt pack and it's got the backpack on it. So I'm going to relieve some of that, hopefully, by putting the fixed blade on here. So something else I have on the belt pack, a medical kit right here. This one right here is the medical kit. It's inside of actually a map pouch that's made for military application for your topographic map. But I also have inside one of the pouches in the backpack another medical kit. That's redundancy, so I'm going to take out one of those. I'm just going to remove it from so that I don't have the extra weight. I'm going to show you what I have in the main pouch, or in the main part of the backpack. I wanted to have a tarp, but instead of a tarp, I got 3 of these Glad, the big Glad trash bags that are reinforced. They're the kind that doesn't tear when there's things, a lot of weight and things poking into them, because I can turn these into what I need when I need it. For instance, if it's raining, I can turn one of them into a rain poncho. I can also open up the other 2 and use them to help make my tent if I'm making some shelter to get out of the rain, out of the wind. You do the same thing with a tarp, but a tarp's heavier. The tarp's more convenient for that because it's got eyelets, so you can tie it down to stuff, and this doesn't. But so far, just because of it takes up less space and it's lighter and maybe more versatile, I'm doing the trash bag thing right now. I told you in the last zombie apocalypse video that I had fleece sleeping bags, 2 of them inside each other. See how it's just nested inside the pot, and it just goes inside that backpack. And these are them. So also, you might think, well, those 2 little sleeping bags, if it's really cold, aren't going to do much. But that's why also in the belt pack, note that it's in a separate pack from the backpack, because I said I wanted actually the same essentials in each pack, so that if they get separated and I only have one, I still have the essentials, right? So this fleece sleeping bags are in the backpack, and I have 2 space blankets in the belt pack. And what I'm doing with those is using the layered concept that you use with clothes when you're doing, hard work activity. A lot of you know that if you put on a big fluffy coat and you're out hiking or doing anything that requires a lot of energy, then you're going to sweat inside that coat when you're hiking or working hard or whatever. So everywhere pretty much, like you take a cue from Antarctica, where they dress in layers. They've got the base layer, which is, an undershirt, and then they've got a second layer over that that's really for insulation, and then a third layer that blocks the wind, from blowing through you. And I'm doing the same thing with the sleeping bag. So I don't have this big old fluffy sleeping bag that's taking up space and extra weight. I have a 3-layer sleeping system. I've got the base layer and then the insulation layer, so that's why there's 2 fleece sleeping bags, one nested inside the other. And then the outer layer, in case it's really chilly, the wind's blowing or whatever, is the space blanket that I don't lay lengthways over it. I lay it crossways so that it's pinned down on one side under it. It folds over and tucks in on the other side, tucks in at the feet. Now I have that windbreak layer that keeps the heat in and the cold out, and makes me sweat if it's too hot for that. So theoretically, if you were trying to stay hidden, theoretically, and you didn't want to be shining in the dark, you could put that space blanket in between the 2 sleeping bags. You won't benefit from the warmth of that second sleeping bag that's on the outside. That will do nothing for you. But what it will do is keep that space blanket from shining and glowing in the dark. So, sun's going down. I'm going to go out and do my zombie apocalypse hike tomorrow. Taking resin from the brittlebush plant, especially the old resin from the dried out brittlebush. It's better for this. Chewing it, like basically adding it to what I've already got in my mouth. I'll get more. Keep adding it until I've got a ball of essentially gum that clean my teeth, you know. Same way chewing gum would, except there's no sugar in it to cause cavities. So also that resin can be used, if it's fresh and still wet, for glue, but it also, even if it's dry, you can just heat it and use it for glue. So if you were, say for instance, making an arrow to bind fletching or feathers to the arrow, you know, and you wrap the feather on, then you can use the glue from the brittlebush to help bind it on. You know, when it dries hard, so all you do is heat it up to make it wet like Elmer's again. It's stickier than Elmer's. To take the place really of toothpaste and toothbrush, I've got the brittlebush gum to clean all the gunk, you know, out of the teeth. You chew that and then scrape your teeth really with a lot of twigs off a lot of plants and trees will work. Hardwood is common, but you just chew the end and make it into a brush and brush your teeth. There you go. Working on it. You can make it a little more brush-like with time just by chewing on the very end of it. But even as it is, it'll work well. This is a prickly pear cactus, just one leaf that came off of the cactus and grew roots. It's actually rooted into the ground. It's gonna grow another cactus. So I've come up onto the mesa elevations it's a slightly different ecosystem here. There's a lot of yucca and you know, some slight changes in the plants that grow here. I'm happy about the decisions I made about lightening my load. I do miss the plant books, but I'm going to do what I always did before, which is take lots of pictures when I want to know about something and go home and research it. Being up here, I can make tracks. I can move faster. There's a lot less obstruction down there. If I run out of water, all I have to do is go down into the ravines and I can refill on water. So it's no problem because this is Arizona and that's how it is here. So if anybody's ever wondered how, say for instance, Geronimo, with a band of warriors and a few women and some kids, was able just to, you know, to fight the cavalry and live out in the wilderness, and you're going, you know, how did they eat? I mean, nobody ever seems to wonder that, right? You just assume what they bought food at the grocery store. It's even unlikely that they even grew crops. You know, maybe they did. Maybe they had some hidden gardens, but really, all the food and everything you need is available out here. If you know what it is, how to find it, how to eat it, where to get the water, you can live completely wild, completely free out here without food or any of those things. And actually, everything that you would buy from a store that's a necessity, you can make out here. Right. South-pointing barrel cactus. Notice how the saguaro cactuses grow right up the edge of the mountain, but not on top of the mesa. You can see over on that mountain on the other side, there's saguaro all the way up to the top of the mountain. That one comes a little higher than here. But what I'm pointing out is how that the saguaros won't grow on top of the mesa. Barrel cactuses will. You'll see barrel cactuses like that one right there, but no saguaro. Okay, look at those saguaros. I'm on the kind of downward, edge, of course, of a mesa. Look at the saguaros all over the place. Okay. What'll happen is when we get right on top of the mesa, there will be no more saguaros. It doesn't even seem to matter what the elevation is. Where the mesas begin is roughly where the saguaro line, the elevation where the saguaros starts to disappear, but they won't grow on top of the mesa. And my guess is that whatever the elevation is, they won't, because it's too windy. So what that tells you, saguaros don't like top of a mesa because it's too windy. The top of a mesa, as tempting as it is for camping, and I've done it, and I knew better, but I never seem to learn my lesson. You don't want to camp on top of a mesa. You want to camp on the side, maybe, like the saguaros do. Otherwise, you will be very cold and wind-blown. Here on this mesa, there's a lot of yucca. This is the most common species right here. It has really tough fibers. And there we go. I just pulled one off of there. You can actually just pull them loose as they are if you need a single string. But people who used to live here would use them to make things like baskets or sandals even. And there's different ways to separate the fibers from the plant. One is to cut off the leaves, let them dry, then soak them overnight or whatever, then pound them with a rock to separate the pulp from the fibers. Another way is, and this is a little tricky, want to start cut down a little bit on here. I can do this without ruining my piece here. Cut it a little bit. If I did it right, well, if I did it right, I can take a strip. I didn't really quite do it right. As I said, this is tricky with this species anyway. I'm trying to take just the strip from the outside, not the whole leaf. But anyway, if I can do it right, end up with just a strip of fibers attached to the needle, and you can actually theoretically process this the same way I processed bear grass in previous video. It was in the juniper forest, you know, taking it across a rock or whatever just to break the pulp out of it and leave the fibers, and you can have basically a group of fibers that are attached to a needle. As I'm hiking, I'm scraping this, trying to get the skin off of the outside and the rest of the pulp off the inside. And as I scrape, I'm getting more and more of that green plant fiber out between the threads, so they're beginning to separate more. But even so, even just like this, if I didn't do any more, it's very useful. I can twist it and just have a cord that I can use, and with that needle attached, I can even sew up something if hypothetically if my shoe started coming apart or whatever. I have this twisted cord attached to the needle. See that? I have a needle and thread. Campfire. Yeah, you can see it in the video. There's, if it would focus, you can't see it, Sheriff's Department helicopter going up the river. Being nosy, I guess. As I hike on this mesa, I'm getting just slightly higher in elevation as I go. The plants are becoming gradually more like what you see in Prescott. I've got bear grass here. I've run across some century plant, old ones that were dead. I have scrub oak right here. Maybe shrub live oak, it's one of those. And of course no acorns at this time of the year, although there's always this weird possibility of finding one on the ground that hasn't been eaten by bugs or animals. Probably not. There's juniper here. It's not the same kind as in the Prescott elevation. The Prescott juniper is alligator juniper mostly. And I have sumac, which is something I haven't seen around there, but grows a lot around here, and it's just budding. So it's got a bud, then it has to bloom, and then there's berries. So I'm going to keep going. Nice handy cow pond on top of the mesa. Water's dirty, but maybe some purification tablets and a filter would help. Verbena. I believe this variety, maybe desert verbena or something. No, it's not. It's something else. Verbena is a medicine plant. Aren't they all? So there's globemallow.